Hey guys, welcome back to the Lazyriver. Today we're going to be talking about bloodworms. On the far left we have the freeze-dried San Francisco Bay bloodworms. In the middle we have the Hikari frozen bloodworms, and on the right the Omega-1 freeze-dried bloodworms. This is going to be kind of a theory episode, so I hope you enjoy it. The main thing that we think about when we're looking at these different types of food is a few different factors. The thing that I do is I jump straight to the labels. We put them side by side. We look at things like the crude protein, the crude fat, the crude fiber, the moisture. These things are different for different people. And when I say that, I mean you may want to feed something different for different reasons. I personally like to go with the Omega-1 for feeding my fry. Now the reason for that is because the maximum moisture is much lower than it is in the San Francisco brand. You'll see it's 8.1 here and it's 5% here. When I dip my fingers into the Omega-1 and I grind it up for the fry, it seems to shred up a bit better, and it is easier to feed, and it turns to dust much better as opposed to the San Francisco Bay brand. Now, I have been feeding this brand as well to my fry, and it does do the trick, but I seem to get a little bit more chunky pieces in there. Now, we all know that if there's uneaten food in our fish tank and we don't get it out of there in time, that it can cause ammonia spikes. Well, I prefer to stick to this. Let's take a look at some other things here. We'll take a look at the crude fat. The crude fat on the Omega is 3%, and it's 5.8 on the San Francisco. The crude fiber is 6.0 on the San Francisco, and it's 3% on the Omega. The crude fiber on the Omega is 5%, and on the San Francisco, it's 6%. Now, another thing that we need to talk about is the price difference. You'll notice that this has more nutrient richness than the Omega. Okay? The Omega was about $6. This one was about $12 at my local fish store. I got both of these at different stores, and I got the Omega just because that was the only one that they had at my local fish store at the time, and I really needed some freeze-dried bloodworms. I wanted to get more Omega because I love how it grinds up, and I love the fry, just love it. The colors are coming out nicely in my fish. But this store is a little bit further, and I need to get back down there soon, and I haven't been able to. You know, we've got this whole pandemic going on with the coronavirus. So it's a little bit harder for me to go out and to get exactly what I need. So right now I'm feeding the freeze-dried bloodworms. And you know what else is wild? You know, there really isn't much of a difference. I mean, there is, but there isn't at the same time. They're both going to provide excellent nutrition to your fry. But look at this. 0.46 ounces, half an ounce. $5.99, $11.99. So with the San Francisco Bay brand, you're essentially paying double for 0.03 ounces more, which is wild to me. And I'm assuming it's just because of the contents within it. But like I said, I'm going to utilize this, going to use it all up, and try to do my best to get it ground up. I do really want to get some more of the omega. You might say, Herb, why are you opting out for something that doesn't have as much nutrients? Well, I really like this, and I feel that it will raise my fry really well. And the number one thing that I said before is the maximum moisture is a lot less, so I can just grind it up as opposed to this one. So that's where we're at with that. In the very center, we have the Hikari bloodworms. Now, these things cannot be eaten by fry, because if you have any experience with them, you're gonna know that they are just a little bit too big. I prefer to feed these to my more mature fish, like my angelfish, my swordtails. Sometimes I'll feed them to Steve. And I really love to melt them down, and I love to feed them to my turtles. Now we'll take a look at the guaranteed analysis on these. You'll see that the moisture is 89%. Now you'll expect that with something that is basically a pure food, if you will. I hope that makes sense. A pure food meaning that it's not been freeze-dried, it's not been altered in any way other than it's just been frozen. Okay? The crude protein in this seems to be a little bit lower. Now, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe you guys can let me know why that is. The crude fat is a lot less as well. I'm assuming that it's more lean because it hasn't been pumped with anything else in there, that it's just more close to its natural state, if you will. So, yeah, I really do like these for feeding to my more mature fish, my turtles. They're very good. I'm not saying anything bad about any of these brands. I'm just giving you my opinions and my theory on it. So if you guys have any comments, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know what you guys feed your fish, and what kinds of bloodworms do you use? Do you use live? Do you use freeze-dried? Do you use frozen? Whatever it may be, I would love to know. So please leave those comments down below, and until next time, stay lazy and adios.